And welcome everybody to the Huddle, King of Nine's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Paris. Pat, good afternoon. How are you?
Good. This is a great time of the year, Jason. We're getting to the end of August, and that means one thing: college
Starting
football.
starting the U of A season
Yep.
for football. And I thought we'd start off with our Huddle poll question each week. And this week it's one that was an interesting one last year. It has to do with how many games you think Arizona football is going to win. I remember it was at 6 last year, and I thought they were going to win more than 6. I was pretty confident about that. I never would have guessed 10. But I thought more than 6. So this year with the success from last year, Pat, the over under is 7.5. So basically, if you pick 1 or 2 in the Huddle poll question, you're betting the over.
Right.
And if you bet 3, which I think not many people are going to, you're going with the under. So right now I'm going with 8. So I'm going just in the over. What are your thoughts here on how many games you think Arizona football is going to win, coming off a 10-3 season, but with a new head coaching staff and a new conference?
Yeah, I would have loved to have picked number 1 there and said 10 or more, but as you know, Jason, it's so hard to win 10 games, and it was a terrific season last year, a 10-win season. But to do that back-to-back is very difficult, and going into new conference, going into unfamiliar territory, playing teams you don't always play. I picked 2 because I thought they were going to win between 8 or 9. I'll go ahead and say they're going to win 9. If you want my absolute, definitive pick, I'm going to say they're going to win 9. They have the potential to win more than that. Certainly with a bowl game, they could get to 10.
The last 2 times that Arizona football's won double figures in games, they have not backed it up. In fact, they've had 500 seasons the year afterwards. We had a different situation this year with the new coach, the new conference. But certainly the 2014 team that went 10-4 was pretty much 500 the next season. Same for the 98 team that was 12-1, I believe. They were not fantastic in 1999. So historically, it's not there, but it's a different deal.
It's a little different because this year, they finish 11th, ranked 11th last year, lose the head coach, but retain a lot of the same players, and they go in preseason ranked number 21. So while the expectations are not quite as high as they finished at last year, that's still a rarity for University of Arizona in the last 15 years anyway to be ranked preseason. So that just shows you that at least nationally they think the Wildcats will be able to back it up with another season that'll take them to the bowl games.
Very different head coach and a different coaching staff than what they had last year. Jed Fish, very promotional for the program. Brent Brennan is not, Pat, and it's something I've kind of noticed the last couple of months, and it's something that was written about in the paper this past week. He doesn't really, he's not really comfortable promoting the program. He made a comment at a news conference that it was kind of up to the marketing department to do that. I don't know that that's the case, Pat. I think here's a program that is 21st in the country, coming off an Alamo Bowl win, ranked in the top 25. The stadium only seats 25,000. The stadium only seats 50,000 people, half of what a lot of other stadiums seat, and they can't even sell at the home opener. I think part of his job is to try to sell the program, and he's not really doing that in the preseason. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is there's more than one way to, the old saying, it's probably not even politically correct. One way to skin a cat, and he goes about it differently than the previous head coach did. In fact, most head coaches go about it differently than the last head coach did. And that's okay, as long as you win. And winning will provide impetus for people to buy tickets.
Best player, Pat, is Tedero McMillan. He has not made him available at all to the Tucson media.
He's not healthy yet. He'll be
available. He's not doing so because of yes, he is healthy, because of an injury he had in the spring. Now, come on here. If you're going to try to promote your program.
Now you're trying to force another one of your thoughts or bias against what this coaching staff does versus the last one in, when you haven't even let me finish talking about the original thought, and that was promoting the team. That has nothing to do with T-Mac being available for the media. At least it's not the number one issue you just brought up. Would I like to see him do a little bit more promoting? Sure you would, but that's not, you've got to stay true to who you are. And if this was Jed Fish, it would look a lot different. This is Brent Brennan. Brent Brennan goes about it differently. There's one thing that Brent Brennan did that I don't think a lot of coaches taking over after a coach who wins a bowl game and wins 10 games and then just departs for Washington. there's a lot of coaches that wouldn't have been able to do what he did when they come in, and that's keep the bulk of the players, including Tetero McMillan and Noah Fafita and Jacob Manu, and you go down the list. So they must like him. And isn't that the most important thing, is if the players believe in their head coach and they go out and play up to their abilities, they'll win football games. It doesn't, a lot of this stuff is it's just background noise or sidebar issues or sidebar discussions or podcast talk. But in the end, the players believe in this guy. The players are playing hard. We'll see if it works out to wins and losses, and more wins than losses. And if it does, then it'll be a success under the Brent Brennan era. But right now, it's just talk.
He did do a good job keeping the players. Brent Brennan was asked a softball question about fans going to the games and what he likes about the experience. And here was his sales pitch yesterday, Brent Brennan, on the Arizona Stadium experience for the season opener.
From the tailgating to the Wildcat walk to the band and the cheerleaders and the pom-pom and the flag group, like the students, the Zona Zoo, like all those things make it absolutely awesome. And I know there's lots of people that like watching games in the comfort of their home, but there's nothing like the smell of walking into a stadium.
Yeah, Arizona Athletics trying to promote the season. We're going to get to the food offerings that they're going to have here in a little bit, but they're trying to get some fannies in the seats, and you do have to compete with instant replay and television and all those things, and they're trying to get fans at the stadium.
Yeah, and it's that's really. I know what you want. I think you look at it from the Jed Fish lens, and he went and he visited a couple of fraternities right before the season started and tried to get people to jump on board that way. But this program was in a completely different spot 3-4 years ago. Jason,
can't be complacent though,
and that's not complacency. This is a guy who took over a team that has high expectations, and he's focused on winning games. He doesn't believe his job is to go to the fraternities and hand out a few T-shirts and say, "Come to fill up the Zona Zoo." The Zona Zoo will be full, Jason, because
they're advertising today. They 500 tickets remaining still for the Zona Zoo.
That's not 500 tickets. Is nothing. It's Tuesday. My goodness, there's 45,000 students at the U of A. They're not going to worry. The Zona Zoo is an experience that sells itself. He doesn't need to go do that anymore. And yeah, you can thank Jed Fish for that. Jed Fish brought back the Zona Zoo to what it was, 10 years ago, and maybe even better now. And they'll just keep doing what they were doing. And more importantly, they're going to keep winning. If they do that, it sells itself.
But don't make this about me. I mean, the Daily Star did a big article on his.
No, I'm not. You and others that have this feeling, I just don't it's to me, it seems really premature. It's putting the cart way before the horse. We don't know.
Part of his job is to sell tickets, though. That is part of his job.
Well, winning sells tickets. That's all that matters, because you can go out and promote. And the first couple of years, Jed Fish went out and promoted, and we still didn't see the stadium all that full. They started winning, and then the stadium got full. Right. It wasn't a huge success right away.
All right. Well, speaking of the Arizona Stadium experience, we're going to get to the home opener against New Mexico in a little bit, but I thought we'd first bring in our guest this week, and he is Wesley Source from the Tasty Show. And Wesley brokers a show on KGUN, 5 a.m. Saturday. But we thought that we'd have you on, Wesley, because the Arizona Stadium is doing these new food offerings. And who better than you to kind of tell us about some of the food offerings for that. So I'll start by saying welcome to the Huddle. I'm Jason Barr with Pat Paris, and thanks for taking a few minutes here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason, for having me. I'm super excited. Not only does the Arizona Stadium have some amazing new offerings, they're really tasty, and it really showcases the amazing food that Tucson has to offer, from the branded hot sauce to the churro box. And they even had fried elote balls that were just very delicious. But CBS is bringing in that tamale bowl that's going to be really going to showcase some of those Tucson flavors and get people out to the stadium, hopefully, because it's just good. And they even have the Sonoran dog as well, and it's bacon wrapped and everything that you can want from a Sonoran dog, right? At a stadium, it's unlike any food that we've seen in years, right?
I
Yeah.
did have the tamales. It was very good. That's definitely new. That Los Gatos Wildcat sauce that we saw on Friday when they introduced that, that's new. What exactly is new that's different this year that wasn't there last year?
Other than the hot sauce and the churros for sure,
Big
and then
12
there
burger.
the Big 12 burger, the Snoring Dog. You got the elote balls, which is right there in the front. Which, if you don't know what that is, I mean, it's literally a
Tell us.
fried elote is a street corn, right? So you get that amazing flavor from the street corn, but then you get the cheese and the creaminess, and they roll it and fry it. What's better?
Yeah, what's better than that? Wesley, and it really is the Cicharo, which is so iconic Tucson, right? That everybody knows El Charo and the Flores family, and it really is Tucson. And so we now in our University Stadium, we will have that feel.
Absolutely, and 100 year plus restaurant, cornerstone in our community. So we're really excited to be able to have that local flavor, and especially going into the season and seeing people come in from other states and being able to showcase that food from Tucson that really is just tasty.
What are your thoughts, Wesley, on how much food at ballparks and stadiums has changed over the years? I mean, when we were all kids, I think it was just a hot
Hot
dog
dog,
and a
maybe
pretzel and
nachos,
beer. And
maybe
I think some
nachos.
places even have sushi in some ballparks, if I'm not mistaken. What are your thoughts on how food at stadiums and ballparks have changed over the years?
There's a huge change, and it's really defined by the culture of the food scene, and wanting to bring people in and have something that's good to eat, other than just a hot dog. I mean, we went to Chase Field a couple weeks ago for the Diamondbacks game, and we had barbecue chicken that was just incredible, and not something that I was expecting up there. So we're super excited to see that foodie scene really kind of break into the stadiums and drive visitors to come and experience it.
Yeah, and you're kind of hitting on a point that I want to make too, Wesley, is you got fans, and I assume that some of this is going to probably carry over to basketball as well. When you see, Kansas come to town, and you see an Iowa State or something come to, and they're going to enjoy our weather, but they're also going to get a chance to see why we're a city of gastronomy.
Absolutely, yeah. UNESCO City of Gastronomy, and I'm actually at the Good Food Forum with Local First right now, and we broke away so that we can chat with you guys. So the food scene here in Tucson is thriving, and the local ingredients that we have to offer are unlike any other flavor. You got Don from Barrio Bread, for instance. He's a James Beard Award-winning baker, and he's one of our local guys, and he's creating things that nobody else is creating in the country.
Wesley, for people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about your background. You host a show on KGUN, our ABC station here in Tucson that Pat and I work for, 5 a.m. Saturday, I believe. Tell us a little bit about
Yes.
your background and how you got started doing what you do.
So, I mean, realistically, the way that I got into this and talking to the chefs, because we get to interview all the chefs in Tucson and get their story, their background story, and really emphasize that, because in the hospitality industry, if you're not telling your story, nobody's coming to visit you. So we started to promote out on actually KVOI on the radio, and we have a podcast. We still do that as well on Saturdays from 3 to 4. But and you can check that out on YouTube as well as Facebook. But the TV show was just the next evolution of it, and really getting into the kitchens and meeting people like Chef Lindy, Chef Devin from Zio Pepe, Thunder Bacon Burger, or any of the other pillars in the community that are really making just amazing food every day.
Yeah, you're making me hungry just talking about that, Wesley. Let's talk about, we didn't ask you what of the new food options being offered at the University of Arizona at Arizona Stadium coming up on Saturday night. What was your favorite one?
You got to try the snoring dog. I'm typically not somebody that goes straight for the snoring dog, but they hit it right on the head, and it's clean, fresh ingredients, and it's not a cheap hot dog like you're used to at the ballpark. It's a really good quality. It's bacon wrapped. You got everything from the tomatoes, diced tomatoes on the top, to the mayo that's drizzled right over the top. So you got to bite into that.
Yeah, nothing better. Yep.
All right, Wesley, we'll let you get back to your conference, but thank you so much for a few minutes.
Thanks.
Wesley Source on the Tasty Show, 5 a.m. Is that right? 5 a.m. Saturday on KGUN? Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, terrific.
Yep, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
KGUN 9, and then 4 p.m. on the CW.
Oh,
okay.
Good.
So
Good.
for the non-early birds, they can catch it then.
Exactly.
Fantastic. He's Wesley Source. Hey, thanks for a few minutes,
Thanks,
and we
Wesley.
appreciate it.
All
All right.
right.
Hey, Pat, do you think that makes people go to the game more, or do you think it just adds to the enjoyment? Because, for football, you do have tailgaters, right, who are
Yeah,
sometimes cooking.
yeah.
Do you think that is going to make somebody go to the game more, or you just think it adds to the experience?
I think it
when
just
you've got extra options.
Yeah, I think it's unique. It's nice. I don't think it's going to be, I'm going to buy a ticket now that they have great Sonoran hot dogs, because we know there's a couple other places you can get great Sonoran hot dogs already in town. But what I think it does is, as much as we like to say tailgating at the U of A, and there is some good tailgating at the U of A, this isn't known as the Mecca of tailgating. This isn't Alabama. This isn't run down all the great places that have outstanding tailgating. It's good tailgating, but with a 7:30 kickoff, Jason, and you get there at 6:30, let's say, you want to eat, and now you've got some options that aren't just the generic old stadium hot dog and the stale nacho chips and runny cheese. This is legitimate
Runny cheese.
Charo food that you'd
Right.
normally get by going to El Charo or C Charo or any of the other of their great restaurants. You're going to get it in the stadium. So I think it just adds to the experience and makes you think, well, I don't need to run and go eat somewhere before I get to the stadium, because I'm going to go try all these different food options that they've got.
What do you think is a fair markup? Because I'm not expecting the same prices that I see, in the restaurant. It's going to be a little bit more, but I don't want to see. I don't want to see a marked up 3x though either. You know what I mean?
No. And
I just don't feel good about it. Like I want a good feeling too.
What if it's the other way though, Jason? What if it's okay? I'm not going to be paying, $19.95 for a tamale, but for the tamale bowl, I'm going to be paying, $14.50. What if it's that way? They know that it's a ballpark, and you want it, it's a smaller portion, and it's not all the size. It's just, maybe it's not all that expensive. I don't know. We'll have to see.
No, we'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to.
No,
you don't want to. Like I said, you don't want a bad feeling. No pun intended. So anyway, we thought we'd have a little fun with Wesley and show some of the offerings there. I'm a little bit of a picky eater, as you know. I do like the tamales. I thought that was very good. Not a big finger food person,
yeah.
But okay. So let us. We'll check the poll results, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the opener here. Again, Jason Barr, Pat Paris. This is the Huddle on KGUN 9 streaming sports talk show. And our Huddle question is, how many games do you think Arizona football is going to win this season, with the over-under being 7.5? So anybody going A or B, which looks like 80%, is saying they're going to win the over. I think 8 or 9 is pretty safe. I've got 8. Pat's got 9. So
yeah. And let me just throw that, because we've got our football streaming special, Arizona football, a new chapter, now streaming on our KGUN 9 platforms, including just go to kgun9.com and you'll find it there. But the contributors, Ryan Fish, a great story on Alonzo Carter, the running backs coach. You need to check that out. He goes 9 wins. That's what he told me. He thinks 9 wins. Erin Patterson she's got a couple of stories in our special. She said a soft 8, meaning she thinks they're going to be more than 7. So she's going to go a soft 8. And then Blake Phillips, who's got a story on the offensive line. Nice job on that story by Blake. He's Mr. Optimistic. He's got 10 wins, and they're going to win the Big 12 regular season title.
Wow.
That's what he says.
Well, that's hey, listen, things break right and they stay injury free. That can happen.
Yep.
I think a couple of teams like Utah and a couple of others going to have something to say about that. Kansas State even is ranked to start the season.
And those are the 2 games, Jason, that if I were going to, look at the schedule and say, okay, how is this season going to break? And it's early. So you've got New Mexico and Northern Arizona. You'd hope you could win those 2 games. Then you go to Kansas State, who's ranked just ahead of you in the number 18,
which is a non-Big 12 game.
which is a unique situation because it was already on the schedule, so it doesn't count in the conference. But that's the kind of game that could make or break the season already at week 3. And then week 4, you're at Utah. So you got back-to-back road games, Kansas State, Utah. If they somehow survive, and let's say they're 3-1 coming out of that, then your 10-win season, including, it may take the bowl game to get the 10th win, but your 10-win season could happen. If they end up 2-2 there, now you're looking more at an 8 or a 9-win season, and potentially maybe not even that. So we'll see.
Yeah, so they play New Mexico this Saturday to open up the season. And one of the storylines is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He is the running back for Arizona. He played for New Mexico coming out of the transfer portal. On the depth chart for the running backs this week, and by the way, New Mexico lost to Montana State. They blew a 21-point lead at home this past Saturday. On the depth chart, it was a bunch of oars for the running backs, right? Ja'Cory or Quali, the running back who came over from San Jose State, or a guy who I think they should have been used more the last couple of years, which is Speedy Luke, who should be used as a receiver and out of the slot too, not just as a running back.
Yeah,
in order to get him the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
So a bunch of oars. So they didn't want to give away who the starting running back is going to be, or maybe it'll be a running back by committee, and we'll see who wins the job.
And we've even seen that the last couple of years, Jason. Right? It's been 3 running backs, if not more. And that's
I think Michael Wiley, who did get cut today with the NFL, was kind of the guy last year, and then Jonah Coleman was so good, that they could not give him the ball.
Yeah,
and Coleman was one of the guys who did get away in the transfer portal, over the off seasons. But to your point, Brennan did do a good job about that. So they got New Mexico and Northern Arizona to start the season at home, and then it's a couple of top 25 road games if they're still ranked at the time.
Yeah, it's the besides these first 2 games, that the first half of the season has some real challenges to it. And I think by the time mid-October rolls around, when Colorado comes here, we're going to know a lot about this football team. It's not going to take us long. Let's put it that way. By week 3 and 4, I mentioned those 2 games. Then you're home to Texas Tech. Then you go to BYU. So you in that first 5 games, you've already been on the road 3 times, or I guess 6 games. You've been on the road 3 times against some really quality opponents. So we'll know a lot pretty early.
Yeah, and certainly the team is likely to be a different team at the end of the season than they were at the beginning of the season. Just look at last year's team. Colorado will be interesting. There's already some drama there, and there'll be plenty of storylines when they come here with Montana, Lamonius Craig, the wide receiver who left before he would or would not have played for Coach Prime. So we'll get to that more during the season. But anyway, Arizona football opens up against New Mexico Saturday night. It's an ESPN game. It's ESPN Plus against Northern Arizona the week afterwards. And so football season is here.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think the expectation level's there, and it should be. And that's the kind of pressure you get when you come off a 10-win season and you've got the bulk of your starters returning, even though you changed head coaches. No excuses. You gotta go out there and your preseason ranked 21 for a reason. So go out and prove it. We'll see. New Mexico, shouldn't be a problem, but you never know, Jason. You just never know. Look at Florida State started out the season and they
a lot of upsets. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole different animal. Is going to starting your first game in Dublin, Ireland. That can be tough, but both teams had to play, and yet Florida State did not come out of that game with a win. So
we'll be right back here next Tuesday to talk about Arizona football's opener and break it down and go over the game. So for Pat Paris, I'm Jason Barr. This has been the Huddle, KGO9 Streaming Sports Talk Show. Thanks everybody for listening in, watching in, and voting on our Huddle poll. We appreciate it. We'll see you right back here, same time next week.